There's no denying that the introduction of Captain Marvel has shaken things up in the MCU. Not only do we have a lot to look forward to in Avengers Endgame, but her appearance has some interesting ramifications for the history of the MCU. You don't have to wait for Endgame to revisit the famous Battle of New York, because we're going to be talking about how Captain Marvel may be responsible for Thanos' famous failed attempt at acquiring the Tesseract. There are lots of questions that we could ask about 2012's The Avengers. Like, how is it possible that after living in New York for so long, Tony Stark had never had shawarma before? But another more pertinent question, and one we might actually have an answer to, is why Loki? Sure, we understand why he's a popular character, and when the Avengers came out, he was really the best villain in the MCU. But why did Thanos choose Loki of all people to launch an invasion on Earth? The risk for Thanos was huge, and the payoff was significant enough that it's kind of shocking he didn't deal with the situation himself. It's almost like there was something or someone that gave Thanos pause before rampaging through Earth on his own. The first Avengers movie was essential in establishing the superhero force known as the Avengers and tying all of the existing Marvel Studio productions together. It was also the first time we got to see Thanos on the big screen. The Mad Titan made an appearance during the mid-credits scene, exciting comic book fans and explaining to everyone who Loki's mysterious benefactor had been throughout the movie. Although the Avengers represents a significant moment in MCU history, let's not forget that there was one Avenger on Earth about 2 decades earlier.
I like this one.
That's right. Through some interesting timing, it turns out Captain America the First Avenger was improperly named. At the end of Captain Marvel, we learned Nick Fury named his Avengers initiative after the call sign of Carol Danvers. Sorry, Cap, but if you think about it, Carol Danvers was truly the original Avenger, despite this all occurring while you were still frozen. We know the MCU timeline is kind of weird, but we're sure introducing time travel, the quantum realm, and multiple universes is only going to simplify and streamline things going forward. It won't. You know it won't. Anyway, back to the Avengers. Although Thanos wasn't around to witness the glorious display of Captain Marvel's powers at the end of the movie, he knows someone who was. During Captain Marvel, Ronan the Accuser and his team were called in to deal with the Skrulls located on planet Earth. And of course, by deal with, we mean bomb into oblivion. Carol Danvers wasn't going to sit idly by while Earth was attacked, and she responded to the Kree threat by punching their ships apart. Dang, Captain Marvel's cool. Needless to say, Ronan doesn't stick around once this starts happening, and is able to escape with his life and go on to plot another day. During Guardians of the Galaxy, we learn Ronan had promised Thanos the orb containing the Power Stone in exchange for his help decimating Xandar. So it's clear Ronan and Thanos were at least on speaking terms, well, before Ronan betrayed him and tried to keep the orb for himself and destroy Xandar all on his own.
That was a mistake.
Sure, Thanos is probably best known for his ability to smash things into oblivion, but he's also adept at information gathering. He's been on the lookout for the Infinity Stones for quite some time, and his search has led to him leaving no Infinity Stone unturned. If he was colluding with Ronan at one point, then it seems likely Ronan would have filled him in about Captain Marvel. Considering how Thanos has been tracking the Infinity Stones across the universe and waiting for the right moment to strike, it'd be pretty unbelievable to suggest he didn't know about Carol Danvers. At the very least, he would have known her existence made Earth a much more dangerous place to invade. This brings us back to the question: why did Thanos choose to send Loki to Earth? Not only did he have Loki head to Earth for the important mission of extracting the Space Stone, but he sent him there in the possession of the Mind Stone. But why? It's not like Loki was his only option for a potential minion. Thanos could have called on Nebula, Gamora, or any one of his many loyal and powerful members of the Black Order. It's almost like Thanos knew Loki wasn't going to succeed in his mission, and was perfectly okay with that. Hey, Loki's own adopted father Odin never believed in him, so why would another one of the MCU's worst fathers? If Thanos was aware of Captain Marvel, then sending one of the highly valued members of his team or himself to Earth would have been a huge risk. They're strong, don't get us wrong, but not quite punch a spaceship apart with their bare hands strong. Sure, it would have been nice if Loki could have managed to get the Space Stone, but it seems more likely Thanos was just hoping to get some information about Earth's defenses. The looming threat of Captain Marvel could explain why Thanos didn't bring the full force of his power to Earth during the Avengers. basically, if you consider the context of Captain Marvel and the fact that Thanos almost surely knew about her, it's like he sent Loki to Earth as a test. He wanted to see if Captain Marvel would show up in order to protect the Space Stone, since the two of them share a special connection, and he wanted to see just how difficult it'd be to get close enough to the Space Stone to take it away. Not only is Captain Marvel likely the reason Thanos knows the Space Stone's on Earth in the first place, but she probably is the reason he hedged his bets by sending Loki instead of a more important member of his team. The threat of Captain Marvel could also help explain why we haven't seen more aliens attacking Earth in the MCU. During Thor, it's claimed that Thor is the first known alien to arrive on Earth, which seems like a bit of a plot hole considering the fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. was aware of aliens following the events of Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel saved the day, but she also put Earth on the map, which should have meant an increase in extraterrestrial visitors. Yet things were pretty quiet on that front prior to the Avengers, when they started raining from the sky. It's possible Thanos really sent the first test mission on Earth to assess the threat of Captain Marvel. But she didn't show up, because Nick Fury had it covered with his Avengers initiative. Loki and the invading Chitauri didn't encounter Captain Marvel, but they did have to face off against 6 of Earth's mightiest heroes. We understand why Nick Fury didn't call in Captain Marvel during the Battle of New York. He knew that she was on an important mission out in the far reaches of space, and that calling her in was to only be reserved for true emergencies. She was really clear about that when she gave him the pager in the first place, so it's not feasible to have her as Earth's only line of defense. However, the fact that she didn't show up just means that word must have gotten out that Captain Marvel was no longer protecting Earth. At the end of the Avengers, it looked as though Thanos had been defeated, but in retrospect, he may have accomplished exactly what he set out to do. The next time he sent minions to Earth during Avengers Infinity War, they were far more successful. He even joined in the fray himself after getting a good picture of Earth's defenses. Hopefully, Captain Marvel showing up during Avengers Endgame will send the message that Earth is not to be messed with. But even though Thanos clearly doesn't care what happens to Loki, he did send the incredibly valuable and powerful Mind Stone with him. Why would Thanos risk sending the Mind Stone to Earth? You know what they say, 1 Infinity Stone in hand is worth 2 on planet Earth, but it's possible that the Mind Stone was the only way Thanos could get Loki to cooperate. Loki has undergone quite the character arc over his time in the MCU, and it's safe to say that the Loki we saw during Thor Ragnarok was very different from when we first encountered him. During the Avengers, he had already tried to overthrow his brother and father in order to assume the throne of Asgard, so it's safe to say Loki wasn't on his best behavior. But even at the end of Thor, Loki was basically begging for his family to accept him. Sure, he wasn't a great guy, but he wasn't as violent and insidious as he was during the Avengers. Many people theorize that the Mind Stone was influencing his behavior during that movie, and without it, he wouldn't have gotten involved with Thanos. After all, Loki has always wanted to rule Asgard, so why would he want to settle for puny Earth? In a weird way, recruiting Loki seems to fit into Thanos' known methods. He's known for his habit of adopting kids who could use a parent. Mostly because he had their, existing parents killed, but we're guessing Thanos doesn't like to focus on that part. Sure, Loki's a bit older than most of his victims, we mean children, but he definitely has plenty of parental issues. Not only did he find out that he was adopted, but he's also a different race. A race that he was raised to believe were monsters. That'd be hard enough if your parents were loving and supportive, but Loki was adopted by Odin.
It is my birthright.
Your birthright was to die!
He's such a bad father that Loki's probably only his second least favorite child. But just as Loki was feeling devastated after essentially losing the only father he's ever known, in steps Thanos, who tells Loki he believes in him, and to prove it, entrusts him with a powerful artifact. Thanos might as well have offered Loki some candy to entice him into his big old purple van. The Mind Stone might have worked its subtle and corrosive magic on Loki's mind, while the act of giving the Mind Stone to him ensured his loyalty to Thanos. After all, Ronan the Accuser betrayed Thanos in order to keep a single Infinity Stone. If he had succeeded, Loki would have had 2 Infinity Stones and control of the planet Earth. It seems like Thanos did everything to improve the odds of Loki accomplishing his goal and not betraying him afterward. So the good news is that Loki did indeed exceed Thanos' expectations, but the bad news is it was for losing so terribly and getting the Mind Stone taken away. Seems like Loki needs to find a father figure with lower expectations. What do you think about this look into the history of the MCU? Do you think there's a connection between Thanos and Captain Marvel we haven't explored yet, or are we just grasping at straws? Tell us what you think in the comments section below, and then click on that subscribe button for more videos from CBR. Bye for now.